I just made this video about how I used to have severe anger issues, and I'm deleting the video and I'm redoing it, and only like I wanted to make this video about the same thing I just made. I'm gonna make sure I touch on every single topic, every single point that I just went on, but also explain why I'm about to redo it, because I watch all my videos back, right? And like before I upload them, I just want to, watch them, right? Make sure that I touched upon every topic that I wanted to touch upon, because I free flow everything. There's nothing written down. There's nothing, like, I've never written anything down. Like, I free flow everything. So sometimes I'll watch it back and I'm like, well, I didn't touch upon the thing I wanted to touch upon, or it didn't wrap back around. Like, a lot of people get lost in a conversation. Like, I'm trying to conversate, and they be like, "Yo, what does that have to do with what you just said?" And I'm like, "Hold on, you gotta listen to the whole thing first. You listen to the beginning, the middle. Let me get to the end, and you're gonna see how the middle attaches to the beginning and how it attaches to the end, right? Of what I'm trying to say, because I'm trying to say something. Like, I wish that it was as simple as like I telepathically be like, and then you see what I mean, right? Because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get people to see what I mean, see through my point of view, and let's share ideas, and let's, I want to put my ideas out there. I want to put my thoughts out there so they can be criticized. I want to put my thing out there so it can be able to be looked at from other people's eyes and listened from other people's ears, because they have different experiences that might like help me learn something different, right? I'm never saying I'm right. I'm only going from my own experience. That's why I want to talk about how I used to have this severe anger issue, right? Me having this severe anger issue, it affected my life like drastically, like my whole life. It could have been, right, because my dad was in and out of my life, and I didn't have a steady father figure. I was raised by women. So like, the funny thing is, I mean, I guess the anger creeped in when I was a kid, right? My grandmother died. Me, my mom, my grandmother, like we all lived in the same household. My great grandmother, like we all lived in the same house. My grandmother died of cancer when I was 3, and she died in the house. So like I experienced that. I felt that. I didn't understand what was going on, but I felt everything that went on, right? Like as a 3-year-old, like I was probably closer to my grandmother back then, at least that's what my mom says, that I was closer to my grandmother. Like she would play with me more and just do the grandma thing, right? And she's an amazing woman on her own, right? But like that's a whole nother video. But when she died, I gained this thing. Like I know that's when it started, because I remember being mad. Mad and scared. I remember being just so mad. When I was 5 years old, I started going to counseling. I was forced to go to counseling because I stabbed my grandmother or whatever. Well, I didn't stab her, but like I wanted I wanted to watch cartoons. I had the knife. I don't know why the fuck I said let me watch cartoons type shit. I don't know what the fuck. Um, but like I was a fucked up kid. Like it shit was fucked from the beginning. So I went to counseling at 5, and I was told these things because obviously I don't remember exactly, like, but I remember being in counseling. I remember like just going to counseling to the point where it was just normal life, right? Just normal life. And I didn't know why I was there. So it was just part of the thing. Like I go to school, then you go to counseling, then you go home. Then like it was just part of the thing. Or at least once a week type thing. So eventually I got to not go to counseling, but then I got put into like these different things because I was always what they would say out of hand, or always I was hard to handle. I was a horrible child, like, honest. I mean, look at the fucking, like, fucking stab my grandmother, or like cut my grandmother or whatever, my great grandmother at that, right? But like, I was just so angry and confused and sad and didn't have a male anything, so I felt defensive. Like, I don't know why, but I felt like I needed to defend something, so I would defend it with my life. Like, anger and and I'm gonna do what I want to do, and you're not gonna tell me, and I don't give a damn, and it was like that my whole childhood, basically. I got put in placement when I was 14. I got locked up at 14 for armed robbery. Um, I was put in a maximum secure facility for 30 days, but then I was able to get out of that maximum secure by like just using my words. This is the first time I used my words to help me get out of a fucked situation, because they were trying to put me in something called OCFS. I think that's what it's called, which is basically like real juvie, like real lockdown. Like, instead, I convinced them that I did it for some weed or whatever, and they just sent me to rehab for a year. It was like a placement rehab type place, um, but it was better than the alternative. But this whole time, I just had this rage building, this anger, this thing that no one, I could never express it out. No one could ever hear me. At least I felt like, right? I had so many counselors, so many this, so many that, and then eventually so before I got put in placement, I went to anger management twice, right? And then going to anger management twice, obviously that didn't help, because I mean, I guess it helped kind of, but not really. It just helped me figure out what made me mad, but I didn't give a shit. I was so mad, right? I was just so mad. So even up until recently, this thing would creep out. Like, the moments when something goes wrong in my life, I used to get so mad. Like, I would scream, like, I would lose my voice, right? If I get in an argument, right? I might not, I might not get physical, but I'd be verbal, right? Like, like, I would scream so loud I'd lose my voice. And like, it was so out of control. But the problem was that it was my identity. It's what I attached myself to. I attached myself to, like, it's part of me. I just have an anger issue, right? I have an anger issue. And it reminds me of the whole, like, when people say they are depressed, like, you might have, you might have it briefly, but like, you have it right now, but you don't, that's not your identity, that's not who you are. You're going through it. I was going through something. Another thing that the world doesn't look at is that being a man, being a boy, in a world where, like, I didn't even think it was okay to be sad, so I automatically assumed to turn it into anger. I automatically assumed to defend something. I automatically assumed to use the ego for this. Whenever somebody says something, whatever, like, I fucking punched a hole. Like, I would punch shit so much as a teenager, right? And I, like, my knuckles all the way the fuck up here, right? Like, I have a missing knuckle, and my hand's probably, when I get old, I'm probably gonna be stuck like this or some shit. But like, that happened because I would get so mad. As a kid, I would punch holes in the wall, right? And like, I was just so angry. I didn't know how to, whatever. It was just immediately something went wrong, I lash out. Immediately something lash out. And it was shitty because I was a slave to this. Like, I was stuck. Like, I couldn't even enjoy life because life was shitty. It made me mad. And then when it got so bad, that's when I started cutting myself. That's when I started whatever. right? The relationships I would choose, like the first relationship I had, where I had my daughter, it's I was going through something that would then just end up lashing out on people around me because it's my own personal shit. It's my own trauma from my own childhood, from my own life, right? But the people in my life, in a sense, ended up having to deal with that. Like, they had to deal with the shitty end of the stick that, like, damn, yeah, I'm me. And what's so crazy is that's just what was. Then I started using psychedelics. Then I started practicing meditation, doing research, and doing all these things, right? And I started looking at myself, like being forced to accept the fact that that is there and it's going to be there until I deal with it, until I figure out it. Like, it's, there's a mechanism, there's a reason, there's a, and there's a mechanism of actions that I can do and mindsets I can apply, practices I can start to do that can begin to solve that problem. Because, man, it was pretty bad. Like, y'all wouldn't believe it. Like, that's why I try to keep it so fucking real with y'all, because, like, I want you to see that I'm a real human being. I'm not fucking perfect. I don't know everything. I'm fucking, now I have my emotions under control. Now I don't self-harm. Now whatever. But man, this has been my fucking life that, like, I had to put in and put in and put in and try and try and try, right? Because I have to fix myself before I can ever try to tell anybody else to fix themselves, right? Like, I have to. So, I literally just wanted to solve my issues because I felt like a burden. Like, when I was in relationships with people, right? I was probably, it was probably nice being with me, but like those moments that weren't nice probably weren't nice, right? So, like, I can see that. And I'm like, damn, right? There's nothing I can do about it besides grow, learn, whatever. But I've tried my hardest just practicing and practicing and practicing, slowly lowering my anger threshold, like I guess hiring my anger threshold, but like putting the bar at a certain level where I'm like, okay, if anything gets me out of whack, I just immediately like go to my practices. I learned how to silence my mind. I learned how to. It's not like I could sit here and silence mind for 5 hours straight and it's like completely silent for 5 hours straight. But no, but I learned how to silence it long enough to shut the anger up, to like calm down. Because I don't know, it was just me, and maybe it's just my life. I didn't have a father figure really. Like, my grandfather tried, like, because my grandfather was like, I lived with my mom, but every other weekend I started seeing my grandfather. um I think it happened right after I started going to counseling. But like, I don't know, the reason why I talk about things like this, right? I just try to, whatever, my videos are just like a direct free flow of whatever the fuck I'm free flowing, like a free flow consciousness, right? And it's like the consciousness isn't necessarily organized. But what I'm trying to say is it's a work in progress. I can say that I beat like most of my mental health issues because I don't self-harm anymore. I don't have depression anymore. I have sadness sometimes. Like, you cry, like, now I understand it's a learning the language of emotions, learning how to flow. Just like I free flow in this, I learned how to talk free flow because I freestyle. I was a rapper, I learned how to freestyle. So it all was connected of me training myself on how to be myself. But the one thing I haven't, it took me forever to train myself on is my anger. I immediately went to anger as a defense mechanism because it works. It makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel whatever. But the power is actually weakness because most of my anger was really sadness. So then it makes me think most of other people's anger is probably sadness too. And it's something we need to address. That's why I want to just talk about this because, man, I see a lot of gurus and spiritual teachers and all these people that they act like they ain't never heard a fly. They act like they ain't never raised their voice once. They act like they have never whatever. And maybe they haven't because we all have different things. Or maybe they haven't had it to the extreme that I have had to deal with, right? Learning how to control myself, learning how to deal with myself, learning how to, when life, right? Life was kind of shitty and I was mad about that, right? I was mad about the way things happened, but that didn't give me a right to lash out on the people around me type shit. But even it didn't even give me the right to lash out when it was just me. When I broke my hand, when I like would punch holes in the wall, I didn't have the right, man. It's also that because I'm not hard on myself, right? I've never been hard on myself for the way I was. I'm just hard on myself to do better. I work hard on myself to do better, right? I'm not hard on myself. I work hard on myself. That's the thing. And that's what I'm trying to do. Because that's all I can do. All I can do is be better than the man I was yesterday. All I can do is try. That's why I'm so fucking whatever the fuck I am with trying. Where it's like I'm not I don't care about reaching my dreams. I care about the fact that I'm trying to reach my dreams. Because my dreams are not just financial freedom or the whole Mark Dreams brand thing or the whole music or the whole NFT thing or the whole my business or the whole like no, my dreams are also to feel the way I was meant to feel, to be able to gain control over myself, to be able to work through my emotions, to be able to be okay with every aspect of me, to not be so like because I can see why you get this fucked view of yourself because like I used to get this fucked view of myself because I wanted to be spiritual. I wanted to be that spiritual guy that's like, I wanted to be that. But I now know what I am. And like, what I am is, it's this thing because it's whatever you want to be, but you can be kind of like that, but even that guy, that like there people I don't even know if people are real, like because was Buddha really calm all the time? There's a story of Jesus flipping tables, right? Like we forget that we're human, so it's okay. But as you're getting older, you should be able to work on your emotions. As you're getting older, that is why you should be able to be calm. That is why you shouldn't maybe have to raise your voice. That is why. Not you're a young man. You're gonna raise your voice. You're gonna get irritated sometimes. You're gonna lose your emotions. You're a young woman. You're gonna get emotional sometimes. You're gonna lose your emotions. When you get older though, we all need to learn how to control this shit. gain control of our emotions, learn how to work through the motions of emotions, right? We Now it's just like I'm learning. That's why I make music, that's why I do so much, because instead of that anger, every emotion is just energy. So use this shit. Instead of letting it abuse you, instead of abusing other people around you with it, use it, right? Let it fuel you. Because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be mad. I'm fucking mad. I've been poor. I have a good mom. She deserves to be she deserves everything in the fucking world. But she's been poor her whole life. But yes, she's the happiest woman alive, right? And that's how I learned how to be happy in a sense, with nothing, because I've seen her do it. But I understand that she's a woman. So men, we have something that women don't, and women have something that we don't, because we are a little different. But we're all human, and we all need to learn how to move through our emotions, how to speak emotion, how to understand emotion. What does it mean when you feel that emotion? We don't think that. We don't think about, what did it mean when I was that angry? Like, when I lost my voice screaming, what was I trying to do? Like, did I think that people would hear me more if I started raising it? If I, whatever? No, really, I was broken inside, right? I was cutting myself, whatever, but I didn't tell. It's not like I would tell people this shit. It's not like I would tell people why. And if the people that knew, it's not like I would tell them exactly why I was doing this, what was really wrong. Because as a man, you start to look at yourself funny. I don't know how to explain it. But now I've worked through all of that shit. And it's helped me so much, because fuck it. I started making videos, and there's a that's why I have two channels. One channel is my direct consciousness free flow. So it's whatever I'm thinking about in the moment in time. I don't write anything down or nothing, whatever, it's just a direct free flow. But my trip report channel is more about, the trips, and some videos are more about the deep aspects of psychedelics and things like that. But this is more just this helped the same reason why I started making music, right? I started making music to help channel the anger, to help channel my emotions, my sadness, my whatever, to help deal with life in a healthy way, right? Buddha was trying to figure out how to deal with suffering. He did it his way. I'm doing it mine. My way is by being an artist. My way is by turning the pain into something beautiful. My way is I went through the breakup 7 months ago, and I have 8 songs that I made that I'm gonna maybe make 2 or 3 more, and make the Lonely Psychonaut album, which is a whole psychedelic electronic instrumental album, right? That I made. And really, what those songs are, you'll hear my sadness. You could feel it. It was me directing this thing out of me in a healthy way. Like, that's what music has always been for me. And learning how to do this again, learning how to and learning how to do it better, right? Now that I have gotten older, I can see myself better. I know myself better. So I know my triggers, I know my situations, and I have this thing where it's if I make sure that I never get past this thing, right? That's why I have the ability to silence my mind. That's why I have the ability to, like, all these things I've worked on, all these practices, there was a reason for them. The reason was because I know my problems. I know that I'm the problem in my life. I know that, if my dad was in my life, and maybe if he was, the perfect dad, and if my mom was rich, because she was the perfect mom, it's just she didn't have money, but she was the perfect mom. But she just didn't have money. So if she was rich, but that's a bunch of bullshit. That's a bunch of imagination that humans have, thinking. The point is, we have what we have. We have the deck of cards that we are given. We have the hand that we were given, and it's up to us to figure out how to work that hand, right? And that's what I have to do. because the hand I was given, I was stuck with the anger. But there's a reason I have that. There's a reason, because everything, all of my emotions I had in the past that people would have said, oh, he's a bad person because he gets that mad, or he's a bad person because, like, I went through a thug stage. Because when I was angry back then, I was a wannabe thug, right? Robbing people and putting guns to people's head and not giving a fuck, right? Because in my head, I was like, nobody gave a fuck about me. I was just a hurt kid, right? But that's what everybody is. We're all just hurt kids. But hurt people, right? It's misery loves company. And we have to figure out how to express this out in a healthier way, where we're not just throwing our garbage on people. Because with these type of videos, I don't ever want to make it seem like I'm throwing my garbage on, you know, my channel, or throwing my garbage in the video. This is not a thing where I'm sitting here like, man, this sucks about my life, and this is how it was, and I was angry. There's no excuses. It was, fucked up. But I'm so grateful that I'm growing up, that I'm able to look at this and say I'm not that anymore. But at the same time, I'm not exactly the end result either. And I think we all need to understand that you stop growing when you tell yourself when you stop growing. Like when you're dead, that's when you're done growing. But until then, you can technically evolve and evolve and evolve if that's what you want to do. But so many people say that this is the way I am. They say, well, this is just this is how I am, and this is how I've always been. And it's like, well, that's how you're always going to be, because you're choosing that. You can choose to be different by putting the work in, by looking at yourself, by shedding the tears that you need to shed, by having the conversations that need to be had, by saying sorry to the people that you need to say sorry to, by, letting go of the anger and letting go of the results. Like, you want it to go a certain way, let go of that. Just go for something. Just go on the journey, flow, right? Go with the river, go, like, because that's what I'm understanding is every anger, like, my anger issue stemmed from me holding on to this thing, that I was so angry with the wrong things, with this, with good people not getting whatever. I was like, why are the rich fucking a bunch of assholes? Why is my mom a good person and she's not rich? Why is whatever? When I started seeing life for what it was, the reality, right in the beginning, seeing death, right, knowing that, holy shit, we're all gonna die. That's what I thought when I was 3, and that's what really started scaring me and making me angry. Gave me nightmares. I had nightmares until I was 25 years old, and all of this was my spiritual journey. All of it, right? All of it. Learning about death so young, freaking out about it, which that caused my nightmares for then 25 fucking years. Well, 20 years, because I was 5 when I started going to counseling. But, man, that shit was wild. Because thinking about it, it's like, man, I still have that anger. Like, I still have sadness a little bit, right? I cry when I need to. I make music to get my anger out, and I also use it, right? I utilize the anger as motivation. It's fuel. Now there's fuel behind everything I do, because now I am more motivated than I've ever been, because I'm no longer lashing the anger out all these other places. It's directed in one place. I am focused, and I am directing all of this, all of me, into what I am trying to do now in my life, since, for the past 7 months. And I'm going to do this until all this shit works, until I grow up, until I fix my anger issue completely, until I am where I want to be mentally, until I am where I want to be financially, until I am where I want to be, right? Because this is about you growing. This is about growing yourself into your greatest version.